The next portaler who's committed to Kansas. So I think Kansas's first portal get, if I'm not mistaken. Trey White. Cool name. It feels like it's a very common name nowadays. Can't remember, but I think there's another Trey White in sports that I've heard of. But Trey White is a former 4-star recruit from Dallas, Texas. Remember seeing a few videos of him when he came out. He played. He's doing the 4-year trifecta, which I'm sure we'll see a lot of people do now that the transfer portal is kind of the first or second high school class where the transfer portal has been a thing. 1 year at USC, and then 1 year at Louisville, and then 1 year at Illinois, and now he's going to spend his final year at Kansas. Blanket statement, don't think that's great. I'm a little skeptical of that. Not that's, do whatever is good for you, but just bouncing around from school to school for 4 years, just being a journeyman of the NCAA. Most of the time, journeyman kind of means like a journeyman in the NBA, a guy who's on a different team every year. It kind of means that they're not good enough to stick on a team, or so. I don't know. I'm not going to judge Trey White. I don't know anything about his background. He seems like an all right dude. But yeah, four teams in 4 years, I'm a little skeptical. I won't lie. He's 6'7", 205. They have listed as a guard, but he mainly played the 3 and the 4 last year for Illinois when I watched. And it's just confusing, right? Because I understand, to an extent, I understand transferring if you're not getting playing time and you want to get playing time. If you're a low major and you want to go to a high major, if you played really, really well and you want to get a bag. I'm not saying I endorse all those choices, or if a coach changed. Those are the kind of the 4 areas that you mainly see people transfer for. But it didn't seem as if his tenure at Illinois had like run its course. I can kind of understand when he was at USC and Louisville, because Louisville last year was terrible and USC 2 years ago was also terrible. So I understand like trying to go somewhere you can win, but he was there, and it's also confusing because he was in the starting lineup majority of the year. He started 31 out of 32 games, and most of the time he played like 25 to 30 minutes. But then there's a stretch of games like in the middle where he was getting DNPs and like playing like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes here and there. So he was basically benched mid-season for like a stretch of like a few games, and then he just went right back to starting and doing everything that he did. Trey White isn't a guy who's going to jump off the page at you, and I just say that because even though these stats are pretty good, he wasn't the best player on Illinois team that, in my opinion, underperformed this year. They had Yakachonis, they had Ivisic, they had Kylan Boswell. Those 3 guys were kind of ahead of him on the pecking order. Will Riley, like 4 guys that were ahead of him on the pecking order. So these stats are pretty decent. He improved his 3-point percentage, although he's still not a great 3-point shooter. This one gets a C grade from us, just because it's a little confusing. It just seems as if Kansas's luck with like transfers, especially guys that are just hopping around, like AJ Storr, for example, it just feels as if, maybe you try to, start trying something else. And Trey White is he's a 4-star, but anybody in 247 can pretty much earn a 4-star if you're pretty decent. But it's just a little confusing from the Kansas aspect. And it's confusing from a Trey White aspect as well, because I guess I have a conception that Kansas is a higher level program than Illinois, but Trey White didn't play well enough to like earn a payday or earn, a jump up to a team that's going to be contending for a national championship, I assume, next year. I thought when he decided to transfer, I thought he was going to go like a lower level school, like a mid major. But no, it makes a jump up to Kansas. So I'm a little confused. I'm not going to give it a total like D or an F because Trey White's a solid player. But yeah, his story really confuses me. So I would love to talk to Trey White about this sometime. Maybe I could get a better understanding.